Welcome back to Lesson 9 of the Smart Networking e-course. 10 networking mistakes small business owners make and how you can avoid them. So far on this e-course we've covered a new approach to networking, 3 essential components in your networking toolbox, your target market, your unique selling proposition and your strategic business plan. We've covered how to be a great networking group member and how to stand out from the crowd without being salesy. We've looked at the questions to ask at a networking event, and we've talked about the 3 steps to a 30-second infomercial that doesn't make you feel like a cheesy salesperson. Plus, we've covered a business card strategy that won't leave you with a drawer full of business cards that you have no idea why you have them, who gave them to you, or what to do with them. In the last 2 lessons, we're going to be covering the biggest networking mistake of all, follow-up, or more correctly, failure to follow up. Because the unfortunate thing is that only 10% of networking is ever followed up on. And of that, 50% is done badly. More on what not to do later. But what that means is that 95% of networking is a complete waste of time. Think about all the business cards at the bottom of all your desk drawers, handbags, pockets, even under the car seats. How many have you failed to follow up with? In my experience, there are 2 key reasons why people don't follow up. They run out of time, or they don't know how. They don't know what to do or what to say. And often it's a bit of both, and then procrastination takes over and suddenly it seems all too late. So if you are one of the few who follows up, you're going to be the exception, not the rule, which will make you stand out in itself. If you follow up using the right strategies, people will be thrilled to hear from you. There is so much to effective follow-up that quite honestly, we could spend a whole day on it. So what I've done is split this up into 2 sessions over lessons 9 and 10, and I'm going to give you as much practical information as I can over the 2 lessons, because if you don't get the follow-up right, everything you've done up to now has a 90% probability that it'll be a total waste of time. The 10% is because the other person might follow up with you, and remember that 90% of people are never going to follow up. So let's get started. In today's lesson, we're going to cover the first 4 steps of the 7 steps to smart follow-up strategies. And in lesson 10, we're going to be covering steps 5, 6 and 7, where we're going to drill down so you can create your own unique follow-up system that works for you and your business and your personality. It may surprise you to learn that the first component to successful follow-up happened way back in lesson 2, in fact lesson 1, before you even went to a networking event. We're back with that all-important planning and the things you learned about in lesson 4. So step 1, have a plan and know what you want to achieve in the first place. Then you'll be looking for the right people and asking the right questions. Remember, you're looking for alliance partners, not clients. And then when you meet people who can help you achieve your goals, and of course theirs, that's going to determine the way you follow up with them. But before we do that, remember I said there were 2 key reasons why 90% of people never follow up? One was lack of knowledge, and we're going to be talking about that a lot more. But the other was more specifically the failure to make a time to follow up. You have to plan for following up. So when you put an event in your diary, you must diarise follow-up time too. If you can't do that, don't go to the event, because it's going to be a complete waste of time and money if you don't follow up. Now, step 2. We covered the basics of this back in lesson 6, when we talked about asking the right questions. Now at the follow-up stage, the answers to the questions you asked are going to determine exactly how you follow up. So they're a critical part of your follow-up strategy. Remember, you are asking questions that help you work out ways you could help the people you meet, people you can connect them with, information that you could send them. people that you want to connect them with to help your network, people who may be able to help you. And asking the right questions is so exciting because it guarantees that your follow-up will be easy and appropriate and welcome. Because remember, you only asked for their business card if you had a good reason for following up. Now it's a no-brainer. If you found a way that you could help them, you probably said something like, "Hey, I might be able to help you with that. Would you like me to send you some information?" Now, I'm not talking about sales information here. I'm talking about a helpful article, resources, a website, something that will be useful to them. This is not about you and it's not your sales pitch. Then if you saw potential for an introduction, you might have said, "Hey, there's someone I'd love for you to meet. Would you like me to connect you?" If you saw the potential for a strategic alliance, you might have asked for their card saying something like, "Look, I'd really love to talk to you some more about that. I think there might be some ways we could work together and really support each other. Would you like me to give you a call?" And finally, it's fine to ask for help. "Gee, I could really use your help. I've been looking for someone who, would it be okay if I called you?" Now it's a no-brainer, isn't it? If you asked the right questions and you collected cards from people that you had a reason to follow up with and they've agreed that they'd like to hear from you, then they're going to be welcoming your follow-up. So with all that information spinning round in your head, you don't want to forget anything, which leads us to step 3, taking notes. The very first thing to do after a networking event is to take notes so you don't forget who was who and what you promised. You can do this as soon as you leave the event. But another really cool strategy to deal with this is right on the spot. If you carry post-it notes with you to networking events, then when you promise to do something for someone or you want to connect them with someone later, pull out your post-it notepad, write yourself a note, stick it to their business card. You can do it right in front of the other person and let them know that you want to make sure you don't forget to do what you promised. They'll be impressed that you're going to the trouble. And the last step, step 4 for this lesson is, guess what? Deliver on your promises. It goes without saying, right? Remember, when you asked for their business card, you told the other person how you were going to use it. Perhaps you were going to send them some information about something of interest or value to them. Perhaps you were going to introduce them to someone. Perhaps you wanted to follow up for a follow-up meeting to discuss some ways that you might be able to help each other. Potential for a win-win alliance opportunity. They're looking forward to hearing from you, right? So whatever you said you would do, do it. And that's it for lesson 9. To summarize, plan time for the follow-up, not just the event. Know what it is you want to achieve. Ask questions and let the answers guide your follow-up. Take notes and deliver on your promises. So I'll be back with lesson 10 in a few days' time, where we'll learn how to develop your own unique follow-up strategy for your business and your personality. Thanks for joining me, and remember, network smarter, not harder.